Hey everyone, Shaun Stevenson here, author of the Throne series, and have you ever read a book that you remember really liking a long time ago when you read it, but then you are going to go reread it and you're nervous because you're wondering, will it hold up? Will it still be the same way that I thought it was when I first read it, or is it actually not as good and I just have nostalgia glasses on? Well, that was my big question when I was going into Spine Chillers, book number 7, Birthday Cake and Ice Cream, or Ice Cream, by Fred E. Katz. This is book number 7 in the Spine Chillers Mysteries series, which Spine Chillers Mysteries, also called Spine Chillers, they released them originally as Spine Chillers and then they re-released them all after they were out as Spine Chillers Mysteries. So, and I think they did that for a certain reason that I'll talk about in a moment. But these books were a Christian book series that was in the height of the Goosebumps craze. So they were kind of capitalizing on that idea of Goosebumps by writing shorter stories that had a spooky twist. Now, Spine Chillers Mysteries, in most of the books, there is situations like a scratch at the door, they go to open the door, something jumps at them, then there's a chapter break, and it's their lovable dog that licks their face, and they, love their dog. So it's kind of usually stuff like that, or the whole plot of the book ends up being some kind of like, oh, it was actually just a cat all along that was making noises, there's no ghost. So most of them have that kind of a feel. And I remember this one after I finished reading the whole series. I remember because I had read this one a long time ago, and then I finished the rest of the series actually this year. I finished it in 2024. And so I was thinking about it, and I thought, will this one still be as good? In fact, in my Spine Chillers rankings video, this was my top tier book of the series. I think it's the best. And I am glad to say it holds true. Now, how does it hold true? That's the question. Because in this book, Mackenzie is about to have a birthday party. And everywhere he wants to have his birthday party, like the paintball place, all these different things, are all booked solid for his birthday weekend. So, his mom manages to get him booked at Spooky's Halls of Pizza, where it's kind of like a Chuck E. Cheese sort of idea, which I thought this was fascinating because this book came out way before the Five Nights at Freddy's kind of idea was out. And so I feel like this book is almost like a precursor to Five Nights at Freddy's, because I don't recall R.L. Stine ever doing any Goosebumps book that's quite like this one, where it's set in a Chuck E. Cheese kind of place where the kids are going and the animatronics are maybe not what they seem and spooky things are happening. And I will say, this one actually has legitimately scary moments. And it is ominous, there is some danger, and the twist ending was excellent. I thought it was so good, the twist ending. It's such a good idea. I just kept thinking, man, how did this book happen in this series and be so good when a lot of the other Spine Chillers books are a little more on the mediocre side? Some of them are also kind of good, but this one is just way above the rest. And it's in the middle of the series. A lot of times, middle of the series books and series like these kind of peter off and they're not as good as other ones. So I was pleasantly surprised at this one. What happens in this book? Mackenzie is going to go to the Spookies place, but he starts to hear the legends that the Tremble Avenue building where Spookies is has a curse, that no business can survive there because supposedly there is a ghost haunting the building. Is it Spooky the Clown? You have to read to find out. Now, I will give you the warning. If you don't like clowns, don't read this book. There are lots of clowns. They're all throughout this book. And if clowns really scare you, this is not the book for you. But I really enjoyed this one. Okay, now one thing. I have been holding firm to the idea that I think most of these books work the best when these kind of spooky, middle grade, shorter books that are about 120-ish pages work the best when there's two main characters that kind of can play off of each other and have a lot of banter. I feel like that's always the best. But in this book, you actually have a group of 5 kids who are all part of the storyline. Mackenzie is the focus, and almost everything happens with everything does happen with Mackenzie because it's told in first person point of view. So Mackenzie's really the focus, and sometimes Mackenzie is only with 1 or 2 of his friend group. But the friend group is actually not hard to keep track of. And I was asking myself, okay, why is this working? Why is it working in this book? But then in other books, like in book number 9 of this series, where it's Tuck Me and Mummy, it's called, and they're in a museum, there's 4 characters, and I, for the life of me, could not keep track of them all. There were only 4, and they were there the whole time, but I just couldn't remember exactly who was who. And there were a couple that were related, and I was like, wait, are they the brother and sister, or are they the brother and sister? I can't remember. But in this one, I did not have a problem keeping track of everybody. And I think what it is part of the plot, is that this is a birthday party. So you've got to have multiple characters who are all there who can be part of this birthday party and be part of what's happening. So I think that worked really well with keeping Mackenzie the focus, so most of the action happens with him. But then you have these ancillary characters who are all there, but they're there for the birthday party. So it makes sense that they would be there. And the weight of screen time, so to speak, or page time is really leans towards Mackenzie having interactions with these different characters. And the focus here is much more on the mystery and the Spooky the Clown than anything else, which I will also say, this book is actually legitimately creepy. There were a couple of scenes where I thought, oh no, 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 no. And normally in most of the other Spine Chillers books, I have not had that feeling. I've been kind of like, oh yeah, okay, that could be scary to like a little kid, or, you know, that was a fun scene, or that was exciting. But then this one had some moments that I thought, oh, no, I don't want to read this. And I had to like go quickly through because I didn't want to be too spooked by Spooky the Clown. But in the end, this one is still, in my opinion, the very best Spine Chillers Mysteries books. I think if you're going to read any of these Spine Chillers Mysteries, read this one, Birthday Cake and Ice Cream. I think it is the best out of all of them. And I think is what this series could have been. It's interesting to think about because some of the other books in this series, especially like the book right after this one, Stay Away from the Swamp, that one is one of the worst in the entire series. And it just had a really dumb plot that was not very interesting. It didn't make sense. This book is tightly plotted. There's a lot going on, and even though I sometimes have a problem when these kinds of books are set in a fun house or a carnival or a theme park, because I feel like it ends up being run around from this ride to this ride to this thing to that thing. This book doesn't feel like that. It's very clear where they are in Spooky's Hall of Pizza throughout the book. It makes sense. The transitions are all there. There's nothing that you're thinking, wait, how did we suddenly get over here? Everything makes sense and goes together so well. And the mystery behind the building is really well done. I just feel like this was like Freddy Katz firing on all cylinders. And I really, really enjoyed this one. So definitely, this one is my high recommend for this series. If you want to read one of these, definitely read Birthday Cake and Ice Cream. So, what rating do I give Birthday Cake and Ice Cream? Okay, I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to give this book, for this series, 5 stars out of 5. This one's just the best in my opinion. It's the best of the series. It's what I think could have been if this series had been more like this one. And I think if Freddy Katz, aka Tim Ayers, had paid attention to the way he plotted this particular book and the way he set up the characters, this is the one. There's also some good character growth throughout this book I didn't even talk about, but there's some good character growth as well that I feel like fits and does not overwhelm the story ever, but fits really well with it. So definitely check this one out. If you're looking for a fun middle grade spooky book to read that's maybe not in the end quite as spooky or scary or horrifying, Spine Chillers Mysteries is a good bet for Birthday Cake and Ice Cream. Definitely try this one out. Again, knowing that, you know, these are not going to be the same level as like A Cry of the Cat Goosebumps Series 2000, but this one, my opinion is a good one. I really enjoyed it. And maybe it's the clowns that make it creepy. I don't know. Anyway, have you read this book? Let me know in the comments down below. And until next time, everybody, keep reading. Bye.